Hi, you guys. I wanted to chat to you about one of my biggest reasons why I don't compare myself. Okay. Whenever people talk about themselves, which is actually a really good thing, it's important to talk about yourself because then it means that you're proud of who you are and how far you've come. There can be times when people think that they've had it harder than you, that they think, their lives are worse or even better. And, I can't ever compare myself to anybody because my life is different from everybody else's. But I'm proud of everything that I've been through because it's gotten me to this point in my life. So I wanted to chat to you guys a little bit about the type of person I was very much before I met Greg. And I know that sounds funny. Here I am brushing my hair with my hands. I just washed my hair, so it feels so good. So basically, I considered myself to be a very quiet, sort of nice girl. When I was back at school, I was a people pleaser. I did a lot of things that people wanted me to do. In fact, I used to get really embarrassed about little things. And one of those things was maths. I was not very good at numbers, telling the time. I didn't really know how to read a clock. So if somebody asked me, I'd get really embarrassed and I'd tell them to just have a look at my watch because I didn't know how to tell them what the time was. And I know that sounds really silly and I should have been the one to say, you know what, I don't know how to read the time. So, you got to figure it out yourself, or can you teach me how to tell the time? I didn't think of any of that when I was at school. All I wanted to do was just kind of be invisible. And it's funny for me to say this now because I'm the complete opposite, right? You see my videos and you think, wow, she's confident, she's got it, her life is perfect, she knows everything. And trust me, I've had people who have been really intimidated by me because they think that I've got it all sussed out. But you never have it done. Life is all about learning and growing, and you always get better. But I'm not here to tell you I'm better than you. I'm here to let you know I have been through some hard times, but it's the way that I've dealt with those hard times which makes me who I am today. I'm so proud of myself. So I didn't have what people call a hard childhood. In fact, my childhood was pretty amazing. I grew up with a mum, a dad, and I had an older sibling. There were 13 years between the two of us. And she left to, follow her dream, or what I believe was her dream at the time. And I missed her when she left, my sister, by the way. And when she was away, I had a lot of time with my mum and dad. I had them all to myself. And a lot of people would say that was, amazing. And it was. It was amazing. But what's funny or different is that I had a really great time at home, but at school, it was the opposite. I really struggled in school. I struggled in believing in myself. I didn't really think there was anything good about me. And if you're one of those people watching and you're going through that stage, it's going to pass. But it's just about you believing that you're going to get over that point in time. So this may come across as very strange to some of you, but because I didn't do very well in socializing at school, I spent a lot of time online. I spent a lot of time in chat rooms this was actually closer to when I was, after finishing high school. I just decided that I hadn't made some good friends in high school, so maybe there were other people out there who would appreciate me. And amazingly, I have you guys, and I've never met you in person, but I know that you support me, And I'm so thankful that I did actually make the effort it's very windy outside, to make the effort to understand the online world, okay? Back in school, so this is what had happened. There was a lot of things that happened. But back in school, I was doing really well at having confidence. I loved who I was until I think something triggered me that I had a crush on a boy, and I made a couple of mistakes trying to impress him. And, there were other things that were happening as well, but I felt that because I was trying to impress him and I'd made these mistakes, I was pretty silly. So maybe I should just be invisible. Maybe I should just give up trying to be really good at anything. I don't know if that makes a lot of sense to you guys, and it's not exactly the best thing to give someone else that power, but that was just an example. There are a lot of people out there that I gave power to. I was bullied in school, in case some of you didn't think that was the case. But I didn't let that change who I am today, okay? In fact, I'm thankful that some of these guys put me in that position to understand that, no, I don't want to be the victim. I don't want to be the one that gets hurt physically or emotionally. I wouldn't consider any of it terrible, but I will say that some of it wasn't fun. And I had, fortunately, some teachers out there who really cared for me and stood up for me. I really would have liked in some of those situations to be the one that stood up for me. And then when I did, there were some other teachers who didn't understand that I was doing the right thing by standing up for myself, and I got in trouble for it. So I don't know if you've ever been in that situation before. I know I'm smiling over here, but I'm smiling because they only knew what was best for them. They didn't really realize that if a student is standing up for herself, that's actually a really great positive step, as opposed to a student who's like, yeah, I'll just wear all this on my head, and not say anything. So I've always, that's why I'm here today. That's why I inspire people by who I am with my music and with my makeup and even my vlogs, is because I have this belief that everyone has a right to be heard. And I know that if you're listening to this, it can be so hard if you're in a position where you feel like you're zipped, like your lips are together, and you don't know if you can speak. You don't know if what you say is going to affect people. Of course it's going to affect people, but it's going to affect you the most. You have to speak. You have to stand up for yourself. Because if you don't say anything, you're going to fall into this trap of your body is just going to find ways to deal with it. And it's just going to be a real struggle for you to really get where you want to go. So I've had to learn in my life that there are situations where I have to say something. I have to speak up. And if somebody doesn't react the way that I'd like them to, or respond in a way that's mature, then that's not my problem. That's their problem. So I'm doing this video to let you guys know that those times that I did go through struggles of becoming who I am today really helped me to tell all of you out there that you can speak. Speak. Say what's on your mind. Tell everybody this is what is going through my mind. And nobody has the right to tell you not to speak. No one has the right to stop you from believing what you believe in. And that can be hard, yes. Of course it can be hard. Not everybody gets to that point. In fact, some people never do. But I'd really like to believe that those of you watching me today are going to make the effort to say something. I know that there can be signs in places, I've seen them before. I think at bus stops and stuff like that, there's a sign that says speak up, or it could be outside of a building where there's a lot of drama going on. And I get it, drama is not a nice thing. But when you're speaking up for the good, what's wrong with that? Speak up for what makes you happy. People need to know that when they talk about what feels good, that's good. As opposed to people who speak up about the things that are going wrong. They're the ones that need to understand that the more they talk about something going wrong, the more they'll attract things that are going wrong. When you are talking about the things that are going right, things that make you feel good, what you're surrounding yourself with, that's what you are going to attract. Full stop. So I'd like those of you who are new to my channel to hear this side of me, because you need to know that I'm not here like a perfect fairy. Some people out there think, as I said, that I have the perfect life, but I didn't get here from having it easy. I had a couple of tough moments in my life. Having my dad pass away, which was about 5-6 years ago, I don't keep track of stuff like that. And it's not because I don't care, it's because we had some amazing memories together, and that's really what I want to focus on. When he passed away, it almost felt like my life was not what I expected, okay? So I always had this thought that he was always going to be there in person, physically. I thought he was always going to be there. And he is there in my heart. He's in my heart. But he's not here. And at the time, it was hard for me to wrap around that he wasn't going to be here physically for all the things that have made me so happy. He never got to meet Greg. He never got to meet Celeste. But that's okay. Because, as I said, he's still in my heart, and I feel like he's still here. But I just want to let you guys know that when you do also lose someone, it can be a really big deal. But it may be that you have a different way of grieving. I certainly did. I didn't really cry when he passed away. I didn't know how to react, how to respond. I was hurting, but I didn't cry about it, if that makes sense. I remember the first thing I did when I went to Perth, which is where my mum lives. I went there to their house, and this was probably a day or so after the funeral. Could have been the same day, I can't remember. Getting back to the house, I just hid in the closet where he would have been picking out his clothes to wear for the day. And I just sat there on my own, just not knowing what to do with myself. Because we had some really great times. And to me, my parents were my superheroes. Still are. we've come a long way. As I said, it might be something that I tell you in another video. I had some hard moments with my mum, but I love her dearly, and I always have something great to say about my mum because she is a pretty amazing person. At the time, they were my superheroes, and I felt like my dad, my superhero, wasn't here anymore. And I get it. You know, for those of you out there who think, you know, some people have the best life ever, which they do because they have a really great outlook on it, they have had some tough times too. They really have, which is why I'm also really understanding of being kind to people, because I don't know what you guys are going through. I don't know what some people are dealing with. Yes, I am going to tell them how I feel if I'm not in the right mindset, but that doesn't necessarily mean I go out of my way to be hurtful or mean. You have to speak up for how you feel. And you also have to be aware that if you want to be treated really well, you need to treat people really well. And you need to let them know that, you know, I don't know what you're going through, but I just hope it gets better for you, because we all deserve to feel good and we all deserve to be in a better place. My husband's the same. He got bullied in school as well. It wasn't easy for him to stand up for himself, but he did. He had a situation where it was about a family member of his and somebody had something nasty to say about them, so he stood up for them, and he got in trouble as well. And it doesn't make sense. None of this stuff makes sense, standing up for yourself. But I do believe that it does come in handy knowing that when you've spoken up, you're doing a great favor for yourself, really. And just keep believing that once you've said what you need to say, you can let go of it. You can move on and focus on other things that are really important with your life. And I also say this because having a daughter now, I have to make sure that I'm a really great role model for her. And so when she gets to a point of talking, she's making a lot of noises at the moment, but when she gets to a point of talking and having confidence, I want her to keep that confidence and know that she needs to speak up. She needs to tell somebody what's going on. You know, there are so many situations in life where people feel like other people are walking all over them and they're afraid to say something, because if they do, that person is going to, I don't know, control their life or make them feel like, I don't know, just control their lives, just make them feel like they'll never have a good life because somebody else has this power over them. And that's not the case. Honestly, I think the most powerful people in this world are the ones who speak up. And once they do, at least they have this peace in their mind that they've said it. It's done. And things will get better. And for the people who hate them for speaking up, well, they're obviously the ones who are afraid to speak up. And they don't know what's good for them. And so they need to focus on getting better at speaking up for themselves rather than blaming others who do speak up for themselves. I just feel that it's good for me to be honest with all of you, because sometimes there's this idea that the sweetest people in the world are the ones who've had it easy. And as I said, I've had really great times in my life with my mum and dad, my sister. But it doesn't mean that everything has gone perfectly for me. It hasn't. But I don't let that stop me from following my heart, for reminding myself, what am I waking up for every day? Doing this channel for you guys is a great way for me to inspire you, because I know how important it is to say what you need to say and to be your own superhero. Rather than give somebody else that power, give yourself the power of being your own superhero. And remember, once you speak, you make a massive difference to your life. You know, it's unfortunate for people who are afraid to speak up for themselves, but you can't feel sorry for them. They have to make an effort to speak up. They have to be the ones who believe in themselves. You can't make them. I've probably said this in another video, but when you role model that you're speaking up for yourself, that you're following your own dreams and your heart, they'll do the same. Or they'll look up to you and they'll eventually get to that point, you hope. Anyway, maybe that's given you some things to think about. I didn't really want to go into too much detail about the bullying. I really was actually focusing more on the fact that I was a little bit antisocial back in school. I did have friends, so don't get me wrong. It's not like I went to school and I didn't have any friends. I did make friends. It's just they weren't in my class. They were in other classes, whether they were younger or older. It's funny, right? I didn't really have friends who were exactly my age. Like, you know how some people go to school and they've got this best friend, they're exactly the same age and they've been through the same stuff, the same, relationships and everything. I didn't really have that sort of friend. In fact, some of the people in my class really annoyed me. So it was more, I would get along really well with the people who are younger than me and the people who are older than me. And it seems like what we shared was this vibration of feel good. That's what attracted me to them. They felt good. I felt good. And we hung out together because we had that in common. I had people in my class, my grade even, who thought that I was gay, who thought that I, was a retard. And I don't say this to blame them, because back then I probably did wear that, sign on my head, because I learnt to just shut up and let people tell me what I was, rather than being the one who would stand up for themselves. This is not all the time, but certainly during that period of time, I didn't stand up for myself very well. It was when I left that school that, I was getting in trouble with teachers because I was standing up for myself. But going back to that other point, yeah, sure. There were times that people called me names, wanted, probably considered me being like a teacher's pet, because I did like doing my best for the class if I could. And they were jealous of the fact that I really wanted to do my best in class. But I was only an A student for a couple of classes, and the rest I failed really miserably. But again, did that stop me from being who I am today? No, it didn't, because, school, I think, is a time where, they focus so much on your grades and you passing exams and stuff like that. There's not really a lot of time to think about personally who you are. And that's something that I learned after school, like who I am, who I really am, where I want to take my life and what I want to focus on. And you know what? Even when you leave school and you don't know what you want, that's okay too. I don't think there should be any pressure about making a choice of who you want to be and where you want to get to. Just feel good in the process, because that's what life is all about. It's fun. It's about a process. It's about learning to step by step figure out what it is that you really want. and not to get upset if there is something that you try and you quit it. So what? You know, if you quit it and you know it was something that you should have done, that's different. But if you quit something and other people make you feel like you should have stayed in it, well, then that's not what this is about. It's about what you're choosing. And I'm actually really fortunate because, you know, that time then that I was in chat rooms, I actually learnt, I think they call it like stranger danger or something, like when you know what sort of people to talk to. I mean, it was really common, like it really was common sense. You could figure out if someone was a bit dodgy on the other side of the line. Some people say it's really hard to tell that. I also had a friend of a friend and she was probably like my mum, dad's age. And I remember sitting with her for a couple of lunches. It could have been after we went to church together. I can't remember, sorry. But we would sit together and she'd talk to me about chat rooms. Because I don't know if that was like a way for me to get away from chat rooms. But I think she was just, I don't know, keeping an eye out for me because my parents really didn't know how to tell me to stop. I didn't want to stop. I really enjoyed being on chat rooms because I really felt like people cared about me, just like you guys do. And I didn't see anything wrong with that. And I wasn't in a relationship until, I'm going to say, if I was about 19. I think 19 or 20 was my first relationship. And guess what? I met him online. I did. So in case, again, any of you wonder, have you ever been in relationships online? Yeah, I have. But I met him in person. Like we were together. So it's not like I did the whole long distance thing completely. Yes, he had to travel a fair bit back and forth, but we had met each other maybe about 8-9 times. I can't keep count, but it was a relationship. And the second one, also met him online. Greg, I met him online and we're married with a baby, you know? So if you're also one of those people who is considering a relationship and there are people out there saying, oh, it's so dangerous doing all this online stuff, you never know who's out there. Well, it's just like being in person as well. You never know who's out there either. You can meet some person in a place like a bar or a club and they could be so dodgy. You never know. You don't know. But I was in an industry, as you know, in childcare, and I'm straight. You know, I wanted to meet men, and I personally didn't think any of the men in my workplace were attractive to me. Plus, they say it's actually really hard to be in a relationship with someone that you work with. So I didn't go down that road. I knew that whoever I was going to be with was going to be somebody in a different industry. And maybe I did need to meet them online, a dating website. Greg and I didn't actually meet knowing that we wanted to be in a relationship, and I'll probably save that for another video because I'm not sure if some of you guys actually know our story, and feel free to ask, but I think I'll share that in a different video. We met online, and then it wasn't too far after that we met in person, but we were really friends. Yeah. I don't know if he was actively looking for someone either. I think he had a profile that had been sitting up for a while that his friends had encouraged him to do. And I was just looking for a friend. I wasn't really into wanting a relationship at the time. So, and then things changed. Anyway, that's food for thought, you guys. I'm like very open here talking to you about all this stuff, but I think it's fair for you to know a little bit more about who I am rather than, oh, she's the girl that does makeup or she's the girl that has blue hair, or whatever it is that people pinpoint me as. But I'm very happy in my own shoes. I love being who I am. I love my life, and I'm very grateful for it. So hopefully you guys are grateful for your lives too. And don't ever, going back to the beginning, don't ever compare yourself to anybody else. Your life is completely different to someone else's life. And if you've been through some hard yards, so you've been through some hard yards. But, you know, that doesn't mean to say that you've got to be mean to people and treat them badly. Just understand that, yes, I've been through some hard moments, but I'm a good person. And I've been through some great times, and I'm a good person, and I'm going to keep up with that. All right, you guys. Talk soon. Bye.